Public Services is now called to order. Today's agenda will focus on our pursuit to provide accessible, affordable, reliable, and sustainable electricity for all, lalong-lalo na sa gitna ng malawakan at dumadalas na brownout at power interruption sa iba't ibang parte ng bansa na nagpapahirap sa ating mga kababayan. Before us are three measures seeking the grant of legislative franchise to operate as power distribution utilities. First is House Bill number 6295, which seeks the grant of a franchise to Leyte 2 Electric Cooperative, LEYECO, a AAA rated and multi-awarded electric cooperative. LEYECO 2 hopes to continue providing power service to the residents of Tacloban City, Babatngon, and Palo in Leyte. Second is House Bill number 9154, which seeks the grant of a franchise to Romblon Electric Cooperative, Romualdez, also a AAA rated awarded electric cooperative. LEYECO 2 hopes to continue providing power service to the residents of Tacloban City, Babatngon, and Palo in Leyte. Oh, I'm sorry. Romualdez, I'm sorry. It is distributing power in Romblon's capital in Sibuyan Island and under their unexpired NEA franchise. Meanwhile, its application shall cover the unserved island municipalities of Banton, Coquera, and Concepcion. Lastly, House Bill number 9805, a measure born out of public clamor for better power service in Negros Occidental. This measure seeks the grant of a franchise to Negros Electric Power Corporation, NEPC, a joint venture between Prime Electric and the existing power distributor Central Negros Electric Cooperative, SENECO, in efforts to rehabilitate and modernize the area's power distribution system and provide better power services to Negrenses. Ang pagkakaroon ng prangkisa ay isang pribilehiyo. Kalakip nito ang malaking responsibilidad na magbibigay serbisyo sa publiko. Sa makatuwid, sa oras na hindi ito gampanan ng maayos ay maaari itong bawiin. This hearing will allow us to scrutinize these applications and ensure that the franchise is only granted to those qualified and responsible to provide their avowed public service. Noon kasi, pag may prangkisa ka na, relax na. Kahit na ano nang mangyari, magkagulo-gulo na sila dyan. Basta yung franchise namin, 25 years. But this Congress and the past Congress, when I chaired public services, we realized that we need to demand more from our franchise providers, for the service providers. Ito nga ay isang pribilehiyo. So kung hindi mo ginagampanan, hindi mo pala kaya, dapat palitan. O kaya ayusin ninyo. Dapat ay reforms. Hindi naman pwede katulad yan, binigyan ka ng lisensya para magmaneho. Pribilehiyo mo yon. Pero kung ang dami mong violations, karapatan din na tanggalin ang lisensya mo. 'Di ba? Kaso, hindi yun ang nangyari ng mga ilang dekada. Kaya nung tayo ay namuno ng public services, nakita natin dahil nga sa reklamo ng marami nating mga kababayan, dapat naman masuklian ng tamang serbisyo, mga prangkisa na ibinibigay sa inyo. Sa ibang bansa nga, ang prangkisa ay binabayaran. Dito sa ating bansa, ang prangkisa ay binibigay ng gobyerno para matulungan kayo na magbigay ng serbisyo at kapalit, maayos na serbisyo naman sa ating mga kababayan. With that, I would like to acknowledge the senators present, actually the senator present here today, Senator Gatchalian, who's always been a hardworking chairman of the Committee on Energy, but now in a even more challenging committee on Ways and Means. And also, I would like to acknowledge the presence of Congressman Madrona. Thank you, sir, for your presence here today. May I ask the committee secretary to read the names of our resource persons and those that are joining us remotely. Please turn on your cameras so that we can acknowledge your presence. Secretary, please call the members or the resource persons.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good afternoon, Your Honors, and to all our guests. Allow me to introduce the resource persons present in today's public hearing. To our resource persons, if your name is called, please raise your hand so our senators can identify where you are seated. Thank you. From the Department of Energy, OIC Chief of the Power Legal Service Division, Attorney Dexter Suyat. From the Energy Regulatory Commission, OIC of Legal Service, Attorney Leila Grace San Pedro. From the National Electrification Administration, Department Manager of the Management and Consultancy Services Office, Mr. Ivan Zamora. From the Bureau of Internal Revenue, Legal and Legislative Division, Attorney Ralbert John Neil Tibayan. From the Securities and Exchange Commission, Securities Counsel, from the Office of General Counsel, Attorney J.M. Cruz. For our franchisees, from the Negros Electric and Power Corporation, President Roel Castro. From the Leyte 2 Electric Cooperative, Inc., OIC General Manager, Mr. Hector Frederick De Vera. From the Romblon Electric Cooperative, Inc., Romelco, General Manager, Rene Fahilagutan. We also have invited other stakeholders from the Central Negros Electric Cooperative or Seneco, General Manager Attorney Arnel Lapore. From the Power Watch Negros Advocates, Secretary General Mr. Wenny Sancho. From the Seneco Member Consumer Operator Federation, Mr. Ernesto Pineda. From the Responsible Supervisory and Confidential Union of Employees, President Leonard Gilaran. From Power Centro, President Edwin Biocos. Chairperson of Negros Consumer Watch, Mr. Pepito Pico. That's all, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Okay. Before we begin, I would like to ask Senator Gatchalian if he has a brief opening statement. No opening statement. I will ask you, Congressman Madrona, later on when we go to the Romblon Electric. Now, I would like to remind everyone here we have a session at 3 p.m. So if you have any presentation, to please make it brief. But before that, I would like to ask the DOE, the ERC, and the NEA, what is the existing power distribution dynamics in Romblon, Leyte, Negros Occidental? What are the power distributors and what areas are they servicing? Are there still unserved localities? So let's start with the DOE.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair. On the part of the DOE, we find LEYECO 2, Romelco, to be compliant with the submission as to the distribution development plan. They are also compliant to the submission of the monthly operations report, and they are also compliant for the retail competition and open access. Their electrification levels, Madam Chair, we submit to the numbers of NEA. For the renewal, so with these numbers, Madam Chair, and data, we interpose no objection and support the renewal of their franchise. Thank you, Madam.
For what again? For Romblon?
For Romblon, ma'am, and LEYECO.
LEYECO. Do you have any comments regarding the Negros Electric and Power application?
We also interpose no objection for House Bill 9805.
No objection.
No objection.
Okay, thank you for the brief report.
Thank you.
I would also like to ask then ERC the same type of presentation.
Good afternoon. For ERC, we oppose no objection to both LEYECO and for Romelco's franchise House Bill and Senate Bill respectively, Your Honor. But for NEPC, this will be subject, Your Honor, to the we would like just to manifest, Your Honor, that for Seneco, the franchise will have to be, we just have to make sure that the joint venture agreement between Seneco and NEPC will not affect the power supply agreement of Seneco later on in case in case that NEPSI will be given the franchise by the Congress, Your Honor. So we'll just have to ensure that it will not affect the power supply agreement in the franchise area of Seneco, Your Honor. So that's their only comment on Seneco to be taken over by NEPSI if in case it will be granted to NEPSI, Your Honor.
Okay, we will ask them to present later on. Maybe we can also ask the NEA.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, senators and Congressman Madrona. For LEYECO 2, I'll start with LEYECO 2 and then continue with Romelco, then Seneco po. That's okay. For LEYECO 2, for LEYECO 2, it has been consistently categorized as AAA EC from 2015 to 2022. This performance of the cooperative consistently demonstrates strong operational performance, reflecting its commitment to provide reliable and efficient electric services to its consumers across its franchise area. As to its classification, from 2016 to 2023, Your Honor, LEYECO 2 has been classified as a green EC for being compliant in all of the parameters and standards of NEA. The results of this historical assessment reflects the cooperative's strong financial and technical performance and the cooperative's prudent financial management adherence to the technical standards of NEA. As to its coverage area, its energization. So as reported to us, the LEYECO 2 is 100% energized, ma'am, for the first district, for Babatnon, Palo, and Tacloban City. Next, if I may be allowed to move on to Romelco, Your Honor. For Romelco, Romelco has consistently categorized as a AAA EC from 2016 to 2022. Romelco's consistent highest rating in performance assessment underscores its commitment to excellence and continuous improvement across all aspects of its operation. The cooperative's strong financial, technical expertise, and effective institutional practices and robust government framework positions itself as an excellent performing cooperative. As to its classification, in 2017 to 2019, it has been classified as a green EC for being compliant in all of the parameters and standards of NEA. In 2020, we did observe, however, that Romelco was classified as yellow 1 because its working capital fund fell short. This shortfall, however, can be attributed to the impact of COVID-19. I'm glad to report that the cooperative was able to get back on its feet and comply with all the parameters and standards for EC classification. So it was again classified as a green EC from 2021 to 2023. As to its energization, as reported to us, it is 100%. Again, the Romelco is 100% energized for the districts of, for the municipalities and cities of Banton, Kaidikanan, Concepcion, Corcuera, Magdiwang, Romblon, and San Fernando. Yeah. As to Seneco, is the question part, is Seneco part of the question, Your Honor?
Yes.
As for Seneco, we realized that there is room for improvement. Seneco's performance for 2022 regressed a bit, mainly due to the following. Seneco's debt service ratio is not within the standard set by NEA, which means that Seneco was not able to pay all of its debts as they fall due. Seneco's collection efficiency is only 94.32%. Also, Seneco's financial operation is also a bit on the negative, which means that the total income generated is not enough after all the costs and expenses of the cooperative has been deducted. For 2014 and 2015, Seneco was also classified as yellow 1 EC due to its non-compliance with the collection efficiency, financial operations, and system loss requirements of the regulators. In 2017 to 2019, it was classified as a green EC. However, it was again reclassified as a yellow, yellow 1 EC from 2020 to 2023, again due to its performance on collection efficiency, system loss, working capital requirements, and financial operations. As to its energization, Your Honor, however, I'm glad to report that it's 100% as of today, based on the 2020 census. That's it for Your Honor, from NEA.
Thank you very much. Um, Next, I think we have to cover all the basics first. So I would like to ask the BIR and the SEC if there are any pending payments that need to be done, or there are any um,
Hello.
non-payments.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair. I'll keep it brief. For RDO, for LEYECO no, 2, there are no outstanding internal revenue tax liability. For Negros, Electric and Power Corporation, they don't have any pending audit investigations. However, they failed to file their VAT returns for the third and fourth quarter of 2023. And for Romelco, they have two pending audit cases for taxable year 2017 and 2019. However, due to the resignation of the previous assigned BIR revenue officer, the subject letter of authorities are still being were recommended for cancellation for assignment to a new revenue officer po. That's all po, Madam Chair.
So it's not been resolved. They're just assigning a new revenue officer to assess kung
Yes.
tama ba yung audit.
Yes po, Madam Chair.
Sino nag-resign?
Yung assigned na revenue officer po under
So
that
baka
letter of
may issue.
authority.
Okay.
Apo.
Just keep us updated. Give us a new report on what's happening
Okay, will do po, Madam
moving
Chair.
forward.
Thank
Okay.
you.
SEC Attorney Cruz.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair. The SEC will only comment on the Negros Electric and Power Corporation, considering the fact that LEYECO and Romelco are cooperatives. So, with regard to Negros, Negros was assessed a penalty for late compliance with SEC MC number 28 series of 2020. So there will be no certificate of no derogatory information that will be issued by SEC.
What year was that? The non-compliance 20.
Madam Chair, they are belatedly filed compliance with the SEC Memorandum Circular number 28 series of 2020.
Belatedly filed, but
Yes.
they did file.
Yes, madam.
So have you updated it?
Not yet, Madam Chair, but since it is late filing, they were assessed of a penalty.
So they have to pay the penalty first.
Yes,
Do you know how
Madam
much?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Alam mo-
10,000.
O, bayaran na ninyo ngayon. 10,000 pesos?
Yes, Madam Chair.
O, kaya na yan. Okay. This is for Seneco, di ba?
Negros, Madam.
Kaya nga, Negros. So, Negros Electric Power Corporation, NEPC. Saan nga yung Negros?
Madam Chair,
Bayaran na ninyo.
good afternoon. Yeah, what in contrary, we actually have the certificate. It was issued by the SEC, Madam Chair.
Please update your records. Maybe you
We will
weren't given.
verify. Your
Okay. Thank you. All right. Since we already have all of these regulators out of the way, now I would like to ask those that are applying now for a franchise for your brief, diba? For the brief presentation, after which we will ask those that are in support of it to give also a brief manifestation, and those that are against it para marinig natin lahat. Okay, let's begin with Leyte. Sir, ilang minutes yan?
Ilang slides na po, Madam Senator?
O sige, basta yung areas covered, what you've done, how many years, etc.
Let me start. Good afternoon to everybody. LEYECO 2 is a non-stock, non-profit organization with 143 regular employees, a third of which are PRC license holders. Its franchise covers the area of Tacloban, the municipalities of Palo and Babacngon in the province of Leyte. The franchise was granted in June 5 of 1978. This will end on June 4 of 2028, 4 years and 2 months from now. In our franchise are 196 fully energized barangays within the 3 LGUs, covering an area of 538 square kilometers and a population of 356,000. We serve residential, commercial, industrial, public buildings, streetlights, and other consumers. It is divided into 5 districts. Each district is represented by a board who is elected by the member consumers within each district. We have 3 substations with 10 feeders with total installed capacity of 70 MVA. As of the latest count, we serve 83,220 households. Highest recorded peak demand is 60.45 megawatts in 2023. I would like to add that in the second quarter of this year, another 10 MVA will be added to, it will now come to 80 MVA installed capacity for the co-op. Growth rate, power requirement is computed at 2.2 for technical performance. Capacity-wise, LEYECO 2 has sufficient capacity to meet the power requirements of its MCO, member consumer owners. For safety, equipment are installed to sense the minimum fault current at the furthest end of the distribution system, as well as withstand the maximum fault current in the distribution system. Our record shows that LEYECO 2 provides good power quality to its MCOs, as evident by the result of monthly tests to measure the voltage in our system. Very few power outages are recorded. Hence, LEYECO 2 provides reliable power supply to our members. Finally, I would like to add, LEYECO 2 systems loss is way below the cap set by the ERC. The cap for our group is 8.25%. LEYECO 2's cap for 2023, we recorded a systems loss of 6.25%. On financial performance, wherein we recorded a net income of 53 million for 2023. It was found by our external auditor that our financial statements are reported fairly. Also, I would like to add, LEYECO 2 has no existing loans with NEA and is current with all its financial obligations, including the power generators. We have the lowest power rate in our region, the region 8. For institutional performance, LEYECO 2 is one of the outstanding electric cooperatives in the country, as stated earlier, since 2015. This is a mere 2 years after Typhoon Yolanda. We are very proud of that. During Typhoon Yolanda, 95% of our distribution lines were cut down. And yet 2 years after, here we are again a top performing EC. In 1998, LEYECO 2 earned the distinction of being the first of the 119 ECs to fully attain government's total electrification mandate by accomplishing 100% energization of all barangays within the franchise area. At present, all the sitios within Tacloban, Paloan, Babatngon are energized. I would also like to add, we were the first to pioneer prepaid metering system way back in 1999. For overall performance, during the most recent NEA awards and recognition, LEYECO 2 was awarded the top performing EC award.
Okay, sir, actually, I'm quite impressed. What I want to know now is, may mga brownout, blackout pa ba sa inyo?
Uh,
How many hours a day are you able to supply power?
Madam Senator, I would like to refer to our reliability indices. For the system average interruption frequency, the standard is 20. But for the year 2023, we recorded 11. So this
For
is
the entire year.
for the entire year. This is below the standard. For the system average interruption duration, the standard is 2,700 minutes per year. Per our records, we recorded 671 minutes duration, equal to 11 hours within the year. But this does not cover all consumers. Some of the consumers within a feeder who are more prone to runouts, the highest recorded duration is 11.18 hours within the year 2023.
Is that combined or per day?
This combined,
Combined. Okay.
Madam Senator.
What I would like now, this is what I'm going to do. So you presented, I would like to hear somebody who will manifest support and if there's any objection. So do you have anybody from the consumer groups that may attest to the reliability of your franchise? O ikaw lang yon?
Wala po yata, Madam Senator.
Walang naimbita.
Wala po.
Hindi bale, okay lang. Basta submit mo na lang yan. We will just assess your claims. Are there any objections? Wala rin. Good.
Wala.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. De Vera. That's quite extensive.
Thank you,
But
Madam
Senator Gatchalian has a follow-up question.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I was looking through my briefers and kung meron pong honor student, ito po yung honor student no? Dahil AAA, green category, and I was looking at the energy, yung electrification. It's 109%. So pati yung kabit kinabitan. No? Kasi 100% to, di ba? No, but kidding aside po, that means they went beyond the target, no, of 100%. I just have one question, Madam Chair, and this is question on what's very important to our consumers, which is electricity cost. No? And I was looking at the electricity cost in 2022, it's 10 pesos per kilowatt hour for residential rate. And then in 2023, it's 9.1 pesos per kilowatt hour. And of course, it's very challenging, no? To lower down electricity rate in our country because we practice true cost. But what is LEYECO doing in order to further lower down electricity costs for our consumers? I know that some of our cooperatives are stuck with old high-cost contracts. But what is LEYECO's program to deliver low-cost electricity to our consumers?
Thank you for the question, Your Honor. To answer that, we are committed to supply reliable and affordable power to our member consumers. We comply with the directives of the DOE to undergo competitive selection process in our in looking for new energy sources. At the moment, we have an ongoing. Actually, this is already for power supply agreement signing with KEPCO, one of the power generators in this is in Cebu. Also, I'd like to note that LEYECO 2 is with Group G. Group G. We have the lowest distribution, supply, and metering rate. This includes Batelec 2, Socoteco 2, the largest ECs in the country. We are one of the 7, Your Honor.
Chair, let us just a suggestion to LEYECO to still find ways to lower down electricity cost. Again, I know it's challenging, especially in contracting, but that's always the top of mind issue with all of our consumers. Yung brownouts, blackouts, based on the data, you're complied with that. The only thing that I see is the 9 peso per kilowatt hour electricity cost. In Metro Manila, it's 8 pesos. No? So in other words, let's continue to find ways to lower down electricity rates in your area. Other than that, Madam Chair, let me express my support and also commendation to the well-managed cooperative in Leyte. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Gatchalian. Okay, now we will go to the next, which is Romblon. Do you have a short presentation? And then we will ask Congressman Madrona to manifest his support after.
Thank you, Madam Chair. To our honorable senator that are present today, Senator the chairperson, Senator Po, Senator Ejercito, and Senator Gatchalian, and to our congressman, Congressman Budoy Madrona, and to everyone present here, good afternoon. My presentation will show to you the capabilities and the capabilities of the cooperative to manage and operate the power distribution system to the island municipalities of Banton and Corcuera and Concepcion. But before I go further, I'd like to introduce to you our electric cooperative, the Romblon Electric Cooperative Incorporated. Our cooperative is a non-stock, non-profit electric cooperative. It was owned and by our member consumers, consumer owners, and we always involve our consumers in every decision making that we have in our operation. So we are one of the youngest electric cooperative in the country. We are just organized and registered with NEA on June 14, 1989. And our operation is an off-grid, in an off-grid area, which is very challenging. But despite of that, we are finding ways to find solution to the challenges that we are encountered in our operation. Romelco is servicing the 7 municipalities in the island province of Romblon, and we are covering 107 barangays. Our electrification level at barangay on barangay level is 100%, consisting of 32,984 consumers. We are classified as large EC and categorized as AAA electric cooperatives last year. Our collection efficiency is around 96%, 85%, and our annual turnover for energy purchase is around 34,350,000 kilowatt hours. So the map shows to you how our cooperative is operating. It is really very challenging. We are operating island municipalities. So that's the farthest. Is so far the farthest island municipalities that we are now servicing is the Concepcion, which if you go to that island municipalities, it will take you around 5 to 6 hours. So that's how far the areas that we are serving. Okay, so our electric cooperative is a very ambitious. So this is our energy supply program. Our ambition is to source energy, from renewable 90%, in the next 5 years, So you might find these numbers fantastic, but we believe that by using the right combination of renewable energy technologies, And together with the battery system, we believe that we can achieve this ambition. So presently, we are now already at 27%. No, actually last year, 2022, we are about 32%. However, due to the delay of the implementation of some of our RE projects, no, it slipped to 27 to last year. No, but we are still pursuing those renewable energy projects that on the pipeline. No, we have restudied, no, conduct or updated our studies, no, for the RE facilities, no, this year because of the pandemic. The implementation was delayed, no, so we're now updating those studies. As still, we are now on the in the implementation stage, no. Okay, so on the next slide, these are the existing renewable energy projects of Romelco. So the first is the Cantingas mini hydro project. It is a hydropower plant, and it was the first renewable energy project that has entitled, no, the benefits of Republic Act 9513, the Renewable Act of 2008. Okay, so the next is the wind turbine projects. It is a 900 kilowatt project, composed of 3 by 300 kilowatt, suitable to the small islands. So this is the first wind turbine to be owned by an electric cooperative, okay, and to become commercially available. And we have also a biomass power plant. This is our test bed, a small one. It's now serving a small community in the hinterlands of the island, of a small island barangay. And then on the next slide, it is the first solar hybrid system in the Philippines, which has been commercially available, no, supplying an island barangays, no, in the island municipality of Romblon. And the next slide is our test bed again for the distributed solar for the rooftop, no. These solar rooftops were installed in the barangay basketball courts of the barangays. So you can just imagine, almost all barangays in the country have basketball courts, and if we have to put this type of solar projects, we can have about 4 gigawatts, more than 4 gigawatts of solar power plants. No, it is very easy to install because all barangay halls or barangay basketball courts are along the national highway on which our transmission lines traverses. So this is a very simple and very cost-effective solution to the high cost of electricity issues, no, in our country. So the next slide is our legal basis, no, for us to operate. As I have said earlier, that our electric cooperative is one of the youngest. No, it was only registered with NEA on June 14, 1989, and on the island of Romblon and Sibuyan, we able to secure franchises issued by the National Electrification Commission on 1991 and on 1994. So, which means that our original franchise will expire on 2041 and 2044. Okay, so that's the original.
Aga naman ninyo pumunta dito.
Okay, so the next slide will show to you the subject island municipalities of the application for franchise. No, so this is the Banton Island, which was turned over to us by the by the LGU in 2014. The Banton and the Banton Island, the Corcuera, which was also turned over to us on March 2017 under Sangguniang Bayan Resolution number 39, series of 2016. And the Municipality of Concepcion turned over to us on June 25, 2020. To give you a background, Madam Chair, no, these island municipalities has been in operation, operating their own power system, self-help na sabi natin because there is a power plant provided by NPC. However, it was only operating, they were only operating for 8 hours since the late 1990s. And along the way, the LGUs find it hard, no, to maintain the system. And it is actually, sabi nga nung isang official namin doon, ay parang buwan-buwan daw po, ay parang gumigiba tayo ng isang kalsada, ng isang barangay hall dahil we are subsidizing the operation because of the high systems loss and poor collection efficiency, the low collection efficiency. So that's why they ask our cooperative Romelco to please take over us. Help us in our operation in providing better service to our consumers, to their constituents. So, yan po ang nangyari. And then, finally, to show to you the plans and programs, no, of the cooperative to further improve our services to these island municipalities and to bring down further the cost of electricity in our area. We have listed here the programs, no, for development of renewable energy resources to attune to our ambition, no, to source 90% of our energy from renewable energy, from RE sources, 90%. So ito po yung mga investment plans namin, and you might ask saan kukuha ng pera si Romelco dyan, no, to finance this project. Actually, we'll be asking our consumers to join us in developing this project. So they will going to own this power plants, and they can say or they can participate in the decision making in this our power projects. So I think, Madam Senator, these are all the short my short presentations, and I hope that the committee will going to approve our application for this franchise, for these 3 island municipalities, for us to better serve our people in those areas. Maraming salamat po.
Actually, I'm very impressed that you're very proactive and you're also using renewable sources of energy. Okay lang maging ambisyoso sa mga ganyan eh. Basta may plano tayo at sinusundan. Now, I'd like to acknowledge the presence of the Vice Chair of the Committee on Public Services, Senator JV. Thank you for your presence here today. But before I hand over the floor to those that will support or those who will object, I'd like to ask, how much do you charge per kilowatt hour on average? And what is your service record of interruption, if there is?
Well, Madam Chair, with regards to the rate, no, the effective rate, no, of our electricity in our franchise area, actually, as of December 2023, our effective rate to the residential consumers in the these island municipalities is just around 10 pesos per kilowatt hour. So the biggest component, no, in this rate structure is the generation charge. We call it subsidized approved generation rate. Last year, our subsidized approved generation rate is 6.9520, and this year NPC has already increased their subsidized approved generation rate to 7.39 pesos per kilowatt hour. Our distribution charges, the DSM we call it, is just only around 2.9633 centavos per kilowatt hour, Madam Chair.
Okay. That sounds like average in the provinces. So of course, as pointed out by Senator Gatchalian, mas mura dito sa Metro Manila, pero medyo remote kasi yung mga places nyo, and you're laying down the facility for transmission. I would like to ask also, nagba-brown out ba? Gaano katagal ang brown out sa isang taon? Di ba may mga average na binigay, like in a year, what is allowable is 11 times, and then how many 2,000 minutes. So sa inyo, ano?
Madam Chair, our performance last year, I can say that we have a very good delivery of service to our consumers. For the system, for this system average interruption frequency index, the average is about 7. No, we have only have a 7 point score in SIFI, the level, which is far below the 20 interruption per consumer. So we are below the cap. The cap is 20, we are only 7. And for the SID, the system average interruption duration index, out of 2,700 cap, we only committed around 7.
Impressive.
Yeah,
Okay,
yes.
I'll give the floor now to my fellow senators if they have additional questions before we go to the manifestation of support.
Nothing, Madam Chair. Just I'm also like you. I'm very impressed. No, that they are targeting to have more renewables. Considering that you're servicing islands, no, medyo mahirap remote. So, and I'm hoping that I can continue yung efficient performance. Yun nga, yung target lang naman natin to lower down the cost. And the idea of having the barangay courts, kasi napakaraming barangay basketball courts dito eh. Your idea of putting solar panels in those areas is a very good idea, no, that we can also promote to other electric cooperatives. So that's it, Madam Chair. I'm hoping you can continue with their goal of having more renewables.
Thank you, Senator
Thank you po.
JV. Senator Gatchalian.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And before I ask my questions, let me greet the great and the undefeated congressman of the province of Romblon, Congressman Madrona. I had the opportunity before to interact with Romblon, with Romualdez, because of the German project ASEP. I think Romualdez was also a grantee of the ASEP project, in which they are converting off-grid areas to hybrid systems, meaning solar and diesel. And I'm quite impressed, and I commend Romualdez for continuing that project. I think that grant is over na, tapos na yan, di ba? But tinuloy nyo yung project, no? So in other words, you carried on, and in fact, you are scaling up the renewable side of that project, because that project, if I remember it correctly, encourages hybrid systems, no, to lower down electricity costs. So my question is, now that you have continued the baton, how much did you save in terms of your renewable adoption? Kasi sa off-grid, puro diesel yan eh. Kaya mahal ang, diba, kaya mahal ang kuryente because puro diesel and sinasubsidize ng UCME. So, but because you adopted renewable and you're expanding it, I saw in your slide, how much did you save in terms of adopting to renewable, so that other off-grid areas can also learn? I think in terms of, Madam Chair, in terms of off-grid, Romualdez is a role model because they are adopting renewable energy as part of their system. And in fact, mahirap mag 100% electrification sa off-grid kasi isla-isla yan eh. No, pero I saw in my briefer that they're also 104%, no? Pati nga yun na, pati kabit ng kabit kinabitan niyo. No?
104% po sir.
No, so
Household level.
mahirap, no? But I'm quite interested on the renewable side, because we should encourage other islands to go renewable also, or else diesel is very expensive. So I have a simple question lang, how much did you save because you went renewable?
Just to cite an example, Senator Win, that in our SAGR now, no, by effective March 2024, no, the SAGR will be 7.39 pesos per kilowatt hour. Our hydropower plant is just around 5 peso and 21.06 centavos, 07 centavos per kilowatt hour. So that is the true cost generation rate of the renewable. So that's how the renewable can provide a better, a much cheaper cost of power to our consumers. So
in simple terms, you save 2 pesos per kilowatt hour. In simple terms,
most probably, roughly, sir.
Kasi pero blended yan,
yeah.
di ba? In simple terms lang.
Yeah.
No?
And for the solar, our LCOE, based on our latest calculation, considering the cost of the solar system last year, the LCOE is around 3 pesos and 80 centavos per kilowatt hour. Compared to the true cost generation rate of diesel, in one of our island, it's as high as 28 pesos per kilowatt hour. So you can just imagine the savings that we are going to derive, that will be enjoyed, no? That we're going to enjoy in the UCME subsidy. So
more or less, GM, how much did you save? More or less lang. For example, if you kasi ang ano is all diesel versus what you have right now, which is 27% renewable. So how much did you save because of that transition?
For the
more or less lang.
For last year, around I think more than 100 million pesos.
In terms of per kilowatt hour for consumer.
Per kilowatt hour per consumer.
More or less lang
pesos, more or less, the consumers will going to save around at an average of more or less 150 pesos per kilowatt hour. Per month for the consumers. So
150 pesos per
Yeah.
month ang savings nila.
yeah, for the consumers who are consuming around the 50 kilowatt hours per month.
Okay. And then on a system-wide scale, mga 100 million peso saved.
For system-wide, it's around 100 million
Million.
pesos.
All right. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. No, go ahead.
I just want to again express my commendation for Romelco. I've seen them, I've witnessed them and seen them in the past on how they adopted renewable energy as part of their system. And we are encouraging, in fact, we're encouraging a lot of the SPUG areas to do the same, no? Because diesel is very expensive and susceptible to fluctuations. But Romelco took the grant and they expanded the grant and they made it as part of their daily activity. So my commendation and also my support, Madam Chair.
I think that your system should actually be emulated by other cooperatives. Dapat i-approve na natin to, but nandito si Congressman Madrona. I think we would like to hear from him also.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. Senator Wing, Senator JV, to all here present. Frankly, I'm here. I was not invited, but when I was advised and I saw it in your web that it will be discussed in your committee, Madam Chair, I came here to personally support this House bill because, you know, this franchise, to be frank about it, Romelco, as a franchisee, covers only up to now 4 towns of their franchise area. These 3 additional island towns are not yet officially covered. And then, but at the time, I would not forget that these islands, as explained, were being served by and operated by the respective towns. And frankly, they only operated 8 hours a day, 6 hours in the evening and 2 hours early in the morning. And most often times, if they don't have diesel fuel, they have a lot of brownouts. So I did remember asking the help of Romelco to kindly cover this. And here we are now in support of a franchise for them to be given so they can officially and extensively operate already in these 3 island towns. As explained, the farthest is 5 hours. On the average, it's really 3 hours from our main islands. And you could see how the challenges. And right now, I could proudly say that these islands are already experiencing and are being satisfied with a 24-hour electricity service from the original 8 hours. And probably this would be a nice statement that I could stay here in line with their plan to put in solar system using the covered courts. Senator Win, if you remember, you helped me a lot in building these covered courts in these islands. I would not forget that you helped me build like about 5. And we look forward to completing it later on. So with that, I would want to extend my full support and my request that this be expeditiously approved by the committee. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Congressman Madrona. See, when there's cooperation between the Senate and Congress, right, as now, we warmly welcome you here, of course, in support of your constituents and your district. And we are very impressed with what we've heard. Meron ba kayong dalang Romblon marble dito ngayon? Wala. You know, so anyway, I don't think we will object to anything here. It will be my honor and privilege to recommend to the body the approval of your franchise. So let's go now to the next, which is Seneco. Negros, sorry. Negros, your presentation, please.
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon. Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, I have an opening statement and probably will just go to a few slides later, ma'am. Yeah. Well, today, ma'am, as we gather, we are not gathering here as Prime Electric, More Power, or Seneco, but as Negros Electric and Power Corporation. We firmly believe that this partnership through the JVA or joint venture agreement represents a pioneering step. It is our commitment to modernize the existing distribution system in the franchise area while powering the economic growth of Central Negros. Our partnership underscores the effectiveness of collaboration, investment, and expertise in addressing the gaps in the existing electric distribution system. Both the managements of Seneco and Prime Electric recognize the issues and gaps in investments and expertise that impact the growth and development of the franchise area. Though I acknowledge Seneco's long-standing presence in the areas of Bacolod, Talisay, Bago, Silay City, Murcia, and Don Salvador Benedicto over nearly 5 decades, Seneco's commitment to its member consumers has played a significant role in the economic development of these areas. It is also important to note that Western Visayas, which includes the areas of Seneco's franchise area, has experienced remarkable growth. In fact, as per PSA's report, the region, particularly Bacolod, was one of the fastest growing in the country in the years 2021-2022, with a growth rate of about 9.3%. The notable growth has brought forth a new phase of opportunities and challenges for Seneco. As the region continues to expand, the demand for reliable electricity from the electric cooperative has surged. Addressing these increasing demands requires a forward-looking strategy that aligns with the changing needs of the community and the broader economic landscape. It also underscores the importance of ensuring that the franchise area's power infrastructure is robust, reliable, and capable of sustaining the growth while adhering to the evolving regulatory environment. As the economic hub of Negros Island, the area requires a more reliable and responsive electric distribution provider. The current structure, which is rooted in, I put it in quotation, rural electrification, proves inadequate for highly urbanized cities like Bacolod City. Recognizing this, both Seneco and Prime Electric acknowledge the imperative need for substantial investment in distribution assets to cope with the growth. Seneco operates on a very narrow margin, limiting its ability to make the continuous needed investment in the distribution assets. The RFSC, or Investment Fund for Sustainable Capex, a portion of Seneco's rate, falls short of the required funds for Capex projects and amortization payments. Seneco's average RFSC fund is between 110 to 130 million per year. Unfortunately, this falls short of the approximately 205 million intended Capex project last year in 2023 and payment for the amortization of implemented Capex projects. Additionally, Seneco has absorbed losses of about 156 million in 2022 and as of September 2023 has absorbed another 93 million due to high systems loss. These absorbed losses are funded by its internal generated fund, limiting further their ability to fund the needed Capex, a fact that Seneco itself recognizes. The proposed JVA offers a strategic solution to these challenges. A shift from electric cooperative to a private development utility offers a more structuralized setting that allows immediate flow of investment when necessary under the provisions of a performance-based rate mechanism or PBR. This implies that the private DU is subject to both rewards and penalties through rate adjustment, which is intricately linked to the welfare of consumers. This collaboration allows Seneco's MCOs or member consumer owners to genuinely own a share in the partnership. Seneco will remain a corporate entity with 30% share in the Negros Power, distributing dividends to its shareholders. The JVA commits to infuse approximately 2.1 billion to modernize the distribution system and a dedicated management team for smooth operations. We are ready to deploy the 2.1 billion in about 3 to 4 years. Well, we're ready to deploy on day one, which we think would cover our 3-4 year development plan. NPC remains committed to supporting NEA's 100% rural electrification campaign, funded by NEPC without any government subsidies. In our 5-year development plan, part of the 2.1 billion, we have already allocated 250 million for rural electrification. This amount was derived from the requirements of Seneco's Sitio electrification program. NEPC and Seneco will work diligently to ensure the smooth transition with minimal disruptions as they shift towards a private distribution utility. Moreover, we are committed to giving priority employment to Seneco employees. To date, there are over 250 Seneco employees who have expressed their interest in joining NEPC. Our Human Resources Department is at present processing their applications. With the majority of the consumers favoring the JVA, this means that consumers are looking for better service from what Seneco currently delivers. Seneco witnessed the performance of more power in Iloilo, wherein we were able to bring down the system's loss from 30% in 2020 to 5.42% by the end of December 2023, and significant improvements in the SAIFI. Our SAIFI right now is 2.87 if the standard is 20. For last year, our average is 2.87, and SAIDI, if the standard is 2,700, our SAIDI is 240 minutes. Aside from this, our collection efficiency is 99.6%. And for this month, the rate to residential consumers is at 9.93 pesos per kilowatt hour. These changes highlight what NPC could bring to Seneco's franchise, leading them to seek this one-of-a-kind relationship or partnership. This JVA to our franchise application is in line with the declared policy of EPIRA, which is to foster the inflow of private capital into all sectors of the power industry, including distribution sector. We hope that this honorable committee find merit to support this pioneering partnership between private investor and electric cooperative, as this will clearly be to the best interest of the member consumers and will support economic growth of Central Negros. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Mr. Castro. Actually, this is also a good arrangement. There are a lot of cooperatives whose franchise will already be expiring, and it would be nice for investors to come in and cooperate with them so that employees will also be absorbed and services and capex will be increased and up to standards. So I would like to ask, how much will you be charging, or your forecast with all the capex, etc.? Will your per kilowatt hour charge be?
Ma'am, I would say it's very difficult to quote a number down because the generation part, which is about 60% of the rate, is something, we still have to look into. But
right now,
ma'am, in Iloilo, we are 9.93.
Okay.
9 pesos and 93 centavos per kilowatt hour. And as an experience, ma'am, 4 years ago, when we were allowed to take over, with the new franchise of More Electric in
was
Iloilo.
that 4 years ago already?
Yes, ma'am. February, yes, ma'am. 4
Dito
years.
rin yun di ba?
Yes, ma'am.
Dito,
We
okay.
also had the same hearing
And
here.
we are very proud of that. That
Thank you,
growth in Iloilo.
Yes, ma'am. No, so when we entered, just to enlighten the committee, when we entered Iloilo, we actually immediately entered into emergency power supply agreement with the existing power operators or power generators but we negotiated actually for a lower rate. That's why upon entering, we were able to immediately reduce rate by at least about a peso per kilowatt hour. And we intend to do the same as we transition. No, I mean, if granted the franchise, we would do the same as we enter this joint venture in Central Negros, ma'am.
Okay,
Thank you.
any manifestation of support or objection? Mr. Sancho, you are recognized.
Good afternoon, everyone. Madam Chair, this is a manifestation of support for the franchise application of NEPSI from Power Watch Negros Advocates Incorporated. Greetings from Power Watch Negros Advocates, a consumer rights group serving as a watchdog in the power industry in this part of the country. Unfortunately, a crisis of unprecedented proportion has befallen the Central Negros Electric Cooperative, SENECO, with its franchise area covering Bacolod City, Silay City, Talisay City, Bago City, and the municipalities of Murcia and Don Salvador Benedicto in Negros Occidental. As this worsening energy situation threatens to throw us back into a literally dark age, we strongly manifest our statement of support for the granting of the congressional franchise to the Negros Electric Power Corporation. We view this as a covenant that will define our rights as consumers, NEPSI as the distribution utility that will manage the power distribution and the government's regulatory powers for the welfare of all the stakeholders in the power industry. May we recall that on April 27, 28, and 29, the SENECO consumers were confused and perturbed by a widespread blackout in Western Visayas. The cause of the outage shows that a distribution utility-owned line tripped and caused power plants to disengage from the transmission system. While NGCP did not name the distribution utility, Senator Rafi Tulfo on Sunday, April 30, 2023 revealed that the grid operator was referring to SENECO. These confluence of events made glaring by the massive power outage and intermittent blackout only shows that SENECO as an electric cooperative distribution utility is getting older. Even with planned maintenance afforded to it, it cannot be as efficient as before. SENECO has become unreliable and obsolete. It has been experiencing recurrent power outages. Taking stock of this perspective during a system of frequency disturbance that cause rotational power interruptions and voltage fluctuations only shows that we, the consumers, will face massive inconvenience due to the dismal failure of SENECO to provide the service of bringing efficient, reliable, and affordable power supply. Hence, there is an urgent need for a new franchise in line with our support for the granting of a congressional franchise to NEPC. We noted with great pain that these power outages had caused severe disturbances to the SENECO consumers who are essentially being robbed of our rights to quality life, let alone the negative impact of such incident on the economy and resulting damage to properties. SENECO miserably failed to maintain, rehabilitate, and modernize its most basic facilities, particularly its substations, transformers, and power lines, which are overheating to full capacity, resulting in substantial systems losses at the expense of the consumers. Vital economic issues like the price and services of electricity for ordinary people are closer to your hearts. And you are more in the position to exercise value judgment on our urgent plea for the granting of congressional franchise for NEPSI. In closing, it is worthwhile to mention that more electric and power corporation or more power, a distribution utility in Iloilo City, which is a sister company of NEPSI, has rendered very efficient and remarkable services to electric consumers. We have seen and witnessed the kind of services and modernization on the past 4 years of more power. It is a proud record of achievements in the power industry. This is one reason why, without any hesitation and with full confidence, we are endorsing our full support to the granting of a congressional franchise to the Negros Electric Power Corporation. Good afternoon at maraming salamat po.
Thank you, Mr. Sancho. Alam mo, malapit talaga yan sa puso ko. Well, syempre, Bacolod. My mom is from Bacolod. Tapos, I've seen your performance in Iloilo, where I also came from. So, buti sinusundan kami ng Prime Power. But we've seen the tremendous development in Iloilo also. And what was lacking at the time, because they were already investing so much in infrastructure, is really the continuous power service as well as the competitive rates. So we have an exhibit A already with Prime in Iloilo. So I hope that can also be replicated in Bacolod. But maybe if our colleagues here have additional questions yeah.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Madam Chairman, I understand that this is a different franchise compared to the other two initial franchise wherein they were renewed. This is a completely new franchise, as I understand it, correct? And the reason for that is they formed a joint venture wherein 30%, wherein the assets of Seneco will be valued at 30% of the new company. Tama po ba? Mr. Castro?
Yep, or let me state it the other way, sir, if you
Sige.
may. Well, whatever the valuation of that distribution asset is, we will actually purchase and pay 70% of that, and the 30% becomes their share in the new company, which is NEPC.
Okay.
Yes,
All right. So
thank you.
I stand corrected. So the value of the asset, 70% you'll pay Seneco
Yes, sir.
so that they will have money to retire the obligations. And they will also have a 30% stake in the new company, which is NEPSI ba?
Negros Electric and Power
Negros
Corporation
Electric.
or
Negros-
NEPSI. Yes, sir.
NEPSI, okay.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Yes,
ma'am.
majority is
Thank you.
Prime. Okay. And I was reading through my notes, and apparently this is voted in favor by the majority of the eligible to participate in a plebiscite, correct?
Yes, sir. I confirm that,
Yeah.
sir.
May we get a confirmation from Nea? Nea, did you participate in that plebiscite? Were you monitoring that plebiscite at the very least?
Mr. Senator, sir, no NEA personnel was actually involved in the information dissemination, receiving, and or tallying of votes.
No,
just
of
to
course
clarify.
you're not you cannot do that because it's
Opo.
conflict, diba?
Yes, sir.
Nag-COMELEC ba kayo doon or observer man lang?
Yes, sir. NEA's participation is in the conduct of the plebiscite was through its assigned project supervisor, sir.
And what was your observation?
It was done naman, sir, in fair, in a transparent manner, sir.
Okay, and then there's no objection to that plebiscite?
None, sir. Not so. Well, once there were no protests, sir. I guess that's the what.
There's no protest.
There were no valid protests filed with us or to our project supervisor.
Okay, and everything the plebiscite went through without any issues. I mean, everything was in order.
Yeah, everything was above board, but there at one point I think they had to suspend the plebiscite because the local chief executives wanted to cleanse the master list. But after that, everything was above board.
And did NEA certify that the plebiscite was in order?
We actually gave our conditional consent, sir. Yes.
Okay, all right. That's more than enough then.
Opo.
And then let me ask the Seneco GM. Of course, this is a JV because you see that this is beneficial not only to Seneco but to the member consumer owners of your jurisdiction.
Yes,
So,
Senator.
anong nakita nyo na positive? What did you see as positives in this joint venture?
First, I fully agree with the earlier statement made by Nea as to the performance of Sineco. And just to emphasize some figures, for 2021 alone, we have a system loss subsidy of 20 million. In 2022, it's 173 million. And in 2023, it's 149 million. This caused so much injury to the financial conditions of Sineco. And I also agree with the statement made by Mr. Winnie Sancho in her statement of the old and dilapidated infrastructure of Sineco, which can hardly be sustained if we are to face challenges in the economic growth of Bacolod and nearby cities like Silay and Talisay and even Bago. Right now, we made some assessment in our transmission lines and even our power stations. They are the Bago substation is as old as 40 years old already. Years old. Most of these major substations have already surpassed the minimum capacity to sustain the requirement or the demand. And hardly we can cope with the financial requirement to rehab this substation. As a matter of fact, we have 2 pending substations to meet the requirement under Ayala area and in Cyber Center, which is a key to meet these economic challenges. We have no way of financing this. We have a pending CAPEX application with the ERC, which has enacted since 2011 up to we have filed 2011 an CAPEX application amounting to 670 million. In 2014, we filed another CAPEX application amounting to 1.3 billion. In 2020, we filed an CAPEX application 1.3. These 3 pending applications were not enacted up to the present. Before the ERC, Madam Chair.
Hey, sir, actually, I would also like to hear, there are dissenting opinions regarding this. So to also give them a chance to air their side, very short, and then just submit your position paper. Mr. Pineda.
Yes, Madam Chair. Ang lahat kasi na sinasabi ng presenter kanina, ang sa side ng member consumer owner as a federation president, lahat kami hindi namin alam yun. Ang agreement na di-enter into an agreement na wala alam ang mga member consumer owner. Ang annual general membership assembly ay nung May 28 2023, and days after pinirmahan nila, after the AGMA, pinirmahan nila ang agreement. Ang aming general manager at saka yung president ng board of director, the enter into agreement, the joint venture agreement na hindi alam ng mga member consumer owner. Pagkatapos noon, nag-held pa sila ng plebiscite, no? At tiningnan nga namin sa sa NEA guidelines na wala namang plebiscite sa NEA guidelines. Mayroon referendum, iwan ko anong diferensya doon. At iwan ko ba't pinayagan ni NEA yun. At maraming mga erroneous na mga nangyayari nung ginawa yung plebiscite na yon. At ngayon ko lang, ever since memorya, ngayon ko lang nalaman na ang plebiscite ay ilang araw yun. Every weekend, di ba? Oo. At nung nalaman namin, yung NIA administrator, ang kapatid niya, ay connected pala sa company ng MORE. Oo. Tapos, nangyari yon nung June 22, held kami ng special meeting. Dahil nga sa yung tatlong namin dahil may betrayal at violation sa Sineco Board of Directors, ang acting general manager namin nandito ngayon. Dahil sa mandate under the law, roles at regulation ng member consumer owner, at ang sa bylaws and constitution ng Sineco. Yung
pasagot muna natin kay Nea. Ha? Pakisagot nga. So, ang issue is, legitimate ba yung referendum or election?
To address the question, sir, I have to acknowledge that yes, there is no rules. This is the first instance now where an EC will dispose all of its assets. So according NEA really has no rules on that matter. However, we are guided. We are guided by a standard set by the law in PD 269, Section 36B, wherein the disposition of assets should come with the affirmative vote of at least 50% of all the MCOs of the cooperative. So that is a high standard. So that is the standard we set on the proponents for this case.
Sinasabi mo there are no hard rules on how the plebiscite will be conducted or
Yes.
the referendum, but there should be a referendum. So yung sinasabi, there should be voting, right? Sabi mo 50%, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Anong connection ng kapatid mo dito sa Moore?
Sorry, kapatid ko.
Di ba?
Perhaps, Your Honor, the gentleman over there was referring to the brother of the NEA administrator, ma'am.
Not you.
No.
Okay, sorry. I was thinking you were the administrator. Okay, so let's go through this. Teka muna, sir. Yung referendum, ang sinasabi niya, wala naman eksaktong guidelines kung paano. Basta magkaroon lang at dapat 50% ng miyembro. Ngayon, kung pinapakinggan ko ito ng wala akong kinakampihan ha, nung nakita ko kasi yung nangyari sa Iloilo, maganda. Tapos nakita ko rin na sinasabi nila yung mga empleyado, member employees or even owners will retain employment. Plus yung mga capex, mga expand. So sinasabi nyo hindi. Okay. You want to add, Mr. Gilyaran?
Hello, good afternoon, Madam Chair. I'm Leonard Gilaran, the President of the Supervisory and Confidential Union of Employees of Seneco, and I'm here not only to represent actually the rescue, but I have the approval of the President of Seneco Union of Rational Employees, the other union in Seneco, to also voice out the united sentiments of the employees of Central Negros Electric Cooperative. So fundamentally, Your Honor, the employees are against the joint venture agreement. We actually have the position paper here. We have already furnished this to the COMSEC, but I'd like to raise the few points that we have here, Madam Chair. So the care and rescue express our vehement opposition to House Bill number 9805. CARE is the duly registered union of rank and file employees, and the rescue is the legitimate union of supervisory and confidential union of employees in Seneco. So we consistently manifested our unwavering stance against any and all attempt to corporatize Seneco. This is not the first time, Your Honor. Actually, we're faced with another attempt to corporatize Seneco way back in 2015. It was through investment management contract with Benitez. The management also opposed that time, and then the Hermanos Gamboa, which was also repelled by the old employers and also the that time.
Please
So
tell me you are against it. Why?
okay. There is obvious conspiracy to push through the slot of Seneco, take time electric for the illegal GVA and the conduct of the plebiscite. So why do we call it illegal, Madam Chair? Although termed as joint venture, the agreement between Seneco and Prime Electric is nothing short of sellout of the cooperative in favor of the profit-oriented Prime Electric. This goes against the bylaws of Seneco, which is to maintain its non-profit status. And the joint venture proposal was received by the board in February 2023. However, it was not presented and discussed during the AGMA or the Annual General Membership Assembly, which was held on May 28, 2023. But 2 days later, they have signed the actual joint venture agreement. There was no massive education or campaign, no, on information campaign on the terms, the actual terms within the joint venture agreement. It was signed by the board and NEPSI. The provisions of the GVA under Article 8, the joint venture agreement, Madam Chair, Seneco will be responsible for and ensure the payment of any and all retirement or separation pay that may be due to its employees who will cease working for Seneco due to the cessation of business of Seneco as a distribution utility. This is clear violation of the provisions of Article 3, Section 6 of the 1998 Collective Bargaining Agreement of Seneco and the unions, where it states that in case of sale, merger or transfer of ownership, the electric cooperative, the latter shall be under obligation to protect the employee's right to security of tenure and to ensure that the existing CBA and the union officers are protected and respected by the new owner or transferee. There is no truth to the claim that the proponents of the GVA that Seneco needs help of private investor to improve its services. Contrary to the propaganda, Seneco is not an ailing nor a mismanaged electric cooperative. It is in fact the NEA administrator, Mr. Almeida, who stated such facts during his interview during the installation of our acting general manager way back January of 2023. Despite having no general manager for several years, I think 2018, since 2018, Seneco was able to consistently achieve the AAA status from NEA from 2017 to 2021 and slightly fall to AA status in 2022. We posted positive net income for the previous years, including 2023. We only posted negative net income in 2022. So despite despite of the claims that we are leading out of the subsidy for systems test, we're actually posting positive net income, Madam Chair. So it means that we have enough DSM revenues to cover for the subsidy for the systems test. We actually have the lowest cap for systems loss set by the ERC, 8.25%. It means that we are only allowed to transfer or to pass on only 8.25%, while our neighboring electric cooperatives, the NONECO and NOSECO, are allowed to pass on 10.25% as system loss. So
How much is per kilowatt hour now?
in Seneco, Madam Chair, it's actually I think 11 per 11 per kilowatt hour.
11 pesos.
I don't have the exact.
And how about the power interruptions in a year? What's the
I'm
average?
not actually I don't have the data now for the SAIFI,
No, but-
Madam Chair.
Okay. Did you hear?
I'd like to sorry, Madam Chair. I'd like to also note that we are compliant with the technical requirements. I think the NEA representative here can attest to the compliance of Seneco to the technical or engineering requirements of Seneco over the years, Madam Chair. And
Okay.
sorry.
Thank you for your presentation. We will read your position paper. Here are a few things I'd like to clarify. Number one, Negros Electric said that they will absorb the employees from Seneco. Number two, as you're saying, okay, AAA rated, you were actually able to make some returns from your income, but then the problem is you need more capex to expand. So I would like to hear from Negros Electric. Are you really taking in all the employees from Seneco?
Ma'am, as it is stated in the draft bill, we will give priority to the Seneco employees, no? And actually, it's also the same the same methodology that we did in Iloilo, wherein I would like to report over 80 from the old DU in Iloilo absorbed. So here, ma'am, again, just to restate, more than 250 employees of Seneco have already expressed interest to join.
Okay, but
Thank you.
can you also answer the fact that you had your meeting in May 2023? Supposedly, this joint venture wasn't announced during that time. Is that true? Tapos you had a plebiscite?
I will leave that, ma'am, to the GM, no, to explain, ma'am.
Yes,
Thank you.
please.
Madam Chair, indeed there was an annual general membership assembly on that day, May 28. And one of the major topics that are supposed to be discussed is this joint venture agreement. But there were a lot of participants in that General Assembly that one has moved for its adjournment and others follow that this has to be adjourned, thinking that the joint venture agreement will be approved in that assembly when it could have been discussed thoroughly and the board would have been able to present the gist of the joint venture agreement.
So paano yan? If you weren't able to actually present, will it be legal for them to have a referendum without having presented it to the AGMA?
If I may, Madam Chair, the PD 269 section 36B provides that the approval of this nature of contract or agreement should be done by majority of the member consumers eligible to vote. That is even higher requirement than the usual requirement under the referendum of NIA, which only allows majority of those who actually voted. This one, it has to be approved by the majority member consumers eligible to vote, which is...
So pinuntahan ninyo yung mga
we
member
were able to
consumers.
sanitize the membership list, and that explains the reason why the plebiscite took about 3 weeks at
Oo.
every weekend, because we cannot accommodate plebiscites during weekdays because we use the school, public school, elementary school, and high school, and we employ teachers, principal of the school.
Can you send us pictures?
Yes, we
Or
will have
documentation of
documentation
that,
on that.
referendum?
Madam Chair.
I
Madam
will
Chair.
give a chance now to Mr. Pico kasi hindi pa siya nagsasalita.
Salamat
Ay.
po.
Oo, okay.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Maliwanag po ang batas at alam ng NIA. Sinabi ni Deputy Mayo na wala pong mangyayaring plebisito within the next 10 years. Kasi yung plebiscite o referendum was in 2017. Batas po yan. Maliwanag po yan. Pangalawa, wala rin pong proxy voting sa inyo pong NIA regulation at sa PD 10531. Bakit nila yung proxy voting? At pangatlo, Madam Chair, meron pong binutong patay. I have here the affidavit of 3 witnesses na ang kanilang pangalan ay binutuan na hindi naman sila nag-authorize sa SPA at hindi sila nag-appear sa abogado na magbibigay ng authority. At itong isang affiant ay ang kanyang mama na matay ng tatagal ay nabutuhan pa. Ito bang nangyayari? At alam ito ng NIA kasi si NIA mismo, si Administrator Almeida ay nagsasabi na go on with that plebiscite. Hindi nyo pa ba nakita ito? Yan po ang tanong namin dito. Ngayon, I have filed actually administrative complaint against NIA Administrator. Andito si Atty. Suyat. Nag-usap po tayong dalawa na kami po ay magreklamo administratively sa lahat na Board of Directors at saka ni administrator for violation of that law na sinasabi na walang proxy voting, walang plebiscite. November 3 po, na-file ko po sa inyo. Pumunta po ako sa DOA. Walang nangyari. I'm sorry to tell you. Salamat po sa kay Administrator ni ERC Commissioner Dimalanta dahil siya po ay sagot po sa aking mga query. Salamat po doon sa opisina ninyo. Pero sa DOA, wala akong narinig. At Madam Chair, as member of the 17th Congress of the Republic of the Philippines, nagsulat po ako kay Gus Tambunting. Please hear us, hear the side of the consumers. Dito pong sulat ko. Wala po akong narinig. Kahit acknowledgement, sulat lang naman. I think the consumers are entitled as a matter of right kung ano nangyari talaga. Kasi hindi na po na-approve ng konsumidor sa AGMA. Rejected yon. Yung sinabi mong ito'y majority. Wala po. Rejected po ng consumers dahil doon sana may attempt kayo na i-incorporate yung GBA but sinabi ng majority, AGMA, no. Pero nag-sign ko kayo ng GBA. I was there as consumer of Seneco when I said that no. Because wala po sa agenda yung GBA. Wala po sa agenda. And
Okay,
therefore,
sir.
wala pong dahilan kung bakit i-discuss yun. Thank you.
I would like you to answer point by point, Mr. Pico, after which I want to hear from Mr. Biocos. Attorney Lapore, pakisagot po.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The gentleman has actually filed the case with the Regional Trial Court, and that was dismissed, citing reasons that he has just stated. So there was
Furnish us a copy of that.
Yes, sure.
Okay. Mr. Pico, gusto mo mag-react? Oh.
Pending pa po yung kaso sa Supreme Court. Kasi nung i-dismiss ang RTC ay inappeal po natin yun. At nasa Supreme Court po yung kaso ngayon.
Oo,
And
alam
so,
niyo
wala
naman
pa po.
Okay, Mr. Pico, that's your right to appeal it. But at least we would like to hear the decision of the local court. Mr. Biocos, ano pong manifestation nyo?
I would like to manifest my support sa Seneco rescue as President of Power, in behalf of Power, the National Federation of Union in the Power Industry Workers. Nandito po ako, no, in support kasi number one is very much concerned ako patungkol doon sa security of job ng mga employees natin, no, which was mentioned also by Mr. Castro, no, but I doubt pa rin, no. And then second is what will happen because there are a lot of sitios pa rin na mga hindi pa na-energize sa area, and there is what we call a mandate sa mga electric cooperatives, you know, to energize that sitios using the subsidy of the government. But you know what, no, after effect of that sitio energization, yung mga electric cooperatives natin ay nagsasuffer ng mga additional halimbawa it will entail additional systems losses because of the additional longer lines, no, and the consumer is very few. Yung 10 kilometers mo na linya is meron ka lang 5 consumers. So since na I understand na the Negros Electric Power Corporation is in business, no, I don't think so nga bigyan nila ng pansin ng tungkol doon. Alam mo, isa ako sa mga witness ng pag-energize ng sitio, no, since ako rin ay nasa electric cooperatives. And every time na mapailawan mo yung isang barangay, isang sitio na mayroon ko kunting mga consumers, ay umiiyak sila, no.
at least man lang buhay pa sila, yung lalo na yung mga matatanda, nakakita sila ng liwanag. No? So yan ang napakaganda talagang ng gobyerno natin na pagdating dito sa private since in business, no? They aim siyempre sa meron silang tinatawag natin na kailangan yung profit. So I don't think so na ito ay bigyan nila ng kaukulang pansin, no? And lastly ay yung NEPSI ay duda rin kami sa wala pa kasi silang kaming makikita na track record, no, sa NEPSI, no? Kasi ang itong Seneco, no, ay mayroon itong mga unlike sa Iloilo, no, that is only in Iloilo City. Itong NEPSI, itong Seneco, malawak siya, may mga coverage siya ng mga bundok. Mayroon siyang ilang bayan, just like Murcia. Masyadong malayo yan. Don Salvador, no, may mga bayan siya. Unlike sa Murcia, Iloilo, na yung linya nila, yung mga consumer sa baba lang ng linya nila. No? Hindi katulad ng sa Seneco, na meron silang mga bundok, medyo malalayo yung linya. No? Kaya yung systems loss, no, ay kahit mahirap sa mga electric co-op, ginagawa talaga ng paraan para ibaba ito sa cap na isinisip ng ERC.
Thank you, Mr. Biocos, kasi mahinaon ka. Tapos alam ko na, nakikita ko na, syempre concern mo yung mga empleyado din at yung mga consumers. Okay naman yon. Pakinggan naman natin yung more. Ano yung sinasabi niya na, syempre, iba nga naman yung setup sa Iloilo, City yun. Ito may mga bundok, malalayo. Ano po yung assurance ng
NEPC.
Negros?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for the opportunity to respond. No. Well, first and foremost, I don't know why is there always a negative connotation if it is business. No, bakit napaka-negative, no? Bakit negative masyado ang tingin nyo na parang all we are there is only to make money, no? Let me state, no. As I've already said, part of the 2.1 billion, we have already allocated 250 million for sitio electrification. Last month, I was in Don Salvador, Benedicto. I had a meeting with mayor and the vice mayor. No, I already sent people actually doon to already map out. No, and we did this together with the Seneco people who are actually into the sitio electrification program. No, and again, I want to state it. Of course, I mean, ano pa lang to because we're not yet in, but I want to state it that we are committed for the sitio electrification program, and I have already allocated 250 million at least for the next 2 to 3 years for sitio electrification. Now, if that's kulang as we come in, of course we will augment, no, as needed. Number 2, no track record. Again, I would like to invite, no, Mr. Biocos to Iloilo. No, I mean, come and see. No, yes, of course, the terrain is different, but I think even if the terrain is different, what makes the track record actually is the thinking. It's actually the heart of management, not to make sure that each and every consumer is actually served. No, regardless of what the terrain is, regardless if it's mountainous, if it's flat or what. What is constant is our commitment that we want to serve the consumers, regardless again of what the terrain is. Number 3, employees. As I've said, we've already opened it. Over 250, I don't know, I mean, if the 250 plus employees who applied, is part of the representation, no, made by Mr. Gilaran, no, that the whole employees, no, of Cure and Rescue are against the JV. The fact that there are over 250 employees who already tendered, or rather who already submitted their application, I think is for me is a manifestation that they actually want to, continue, and they are what do you call this? They are open for employment, and we're giving priority to that, ma'am.
Okay.
That's my answer to the three
Mr.
questions.
Gilaran.
3 points.
Thank you again, Madam Chair, for this opportunity to respond to Mr. Castro. Again, as I expressed, we have the position paper signed by 380 members of the 380 employees of Seneco. Position paper foreseeing the joint venture agreement. This was actually furnished to the committee secretary already, Madam Chair.
Okay, we will look into that.
Yes,
But this is what I want to say. Of course, we always encourage whoever will take over or join in a partnership with an existing company to absorb the employees. But the truth is, okay, kayo may mga miyembro kayo. May mga miyembro kayong excellent, masisipag. They deserve to be absorbed. They deserve to be employed. Pero, kayo rin mismo, I'm sure meron kayong mga nakikita mga empleyado, tatamad naman ito or wala naman itong ginagawa. That's also not fair, ha? Part of having a successfully run corporation is to have people that are actually working and are dedicated. So employment is not a right. You have to also be able to fulfill your responsibilities. Kaya pag sinabing lahat kukunin, lahat ng qualified dapat kunin. Kahit wala sa age, wala sa gender, wala sa itsura, based on performance. Hindi po yan automatic, ha, na porket na employee ka, kailangan may trabaho ka forever. Hindi po ganon. Kahit dito naman sa Senado, every 6 years we go through a plebiscite. Kung makikita ng mga tao, gusto ka ba nila? Palpak ka ba? Meron ka bang kaso? Di ba? Hindi yan pwedeng ganon. Pati yung mga employees namin, actually, mga employees namin dito, very coterminous rin. So, ganon lang, ha? Mr. Sancho.
Madam Chair, I would like to correct the impression that not all Seneco employees oppose joint venture.
Okay, thank you, sir. But I don't think the employees really have a say, di ba? I mean, it's really the consumers that we're trying to support here and then to absorb the employees. Pero, I mean, the employees can express what they feel that should be taken into consideration. But legally, sa mga joint venture, ganun talaga. I mean, that's the reality. We're all afraid of change. But then, kaya ba ninyo ang capitalization para kunyari may mga call centers na lilipat, may mga hotels, kaya ba i-electrify lahat yun?
Madam Chair, yung na-cite kanina na CapEx project po na pending since 2011, we are actually slowly implementing those po. Hindi lahat ng nakapaloob doon na CapEx projects ay hindi or never na-implement. So marami doon po yung na-implement na paunti-unti. So we secure po clearance from NEA para ma-improve siya kahit walang approval pa ng buo from the ERC. So actually nga yun yung sinabi ni Attorney Lacore kanina na may dalawang additional na substation. This is part of the CapEx na pending the ERC. Pero na-implement pa rin siya kasi naka-secure ng clearance ng NEA kasi kailangan lang i-substantiate na required yung ng mga project. And I'd like to also express na I agree with the contention or the statement niyo po na it is the MCOs or the consumer owners na dapat mag-decide. And in fact, sila dapat talaga yung mag-decide. Pero hanggang sa sinabi ni Concrete kanina, Madam Chair, I'd like lang to stress gaano ka-impactful yung taxi voting. Out of 98,000 na yes, to GPA, 60 to 70 out, actually more than 70,000 yung taxi voting. Kasi yung mga taxi voters po, fill upan nila dun sa mga malls, mga barangay outlets, parang ganun. So, kung secure ng taxi, so hindi naman alam nung magpa-taxi kung ano talaga yung i-vote nila. So, yung isang tao po allowed, Madam, to Madam Chair, we have the matters po and videos nung nangyaring visit wherein a one person can vote for as many persons as possible. Marami siyang bitbit na mga sometimes po. So,
Mr. Leonard, ganito hindi pa naman kasi to tapos, no? We have to go through it. So, I want with at least with Negros Power, we'll have a technical working group. Submit to me, ano yung pwedeng gawin para magkasundo kayo? Okay, ano yung mga dapat i-address? These are wish lists, we're not saying, because if it's unreasonable, this committee will also have to be very pragmatic. So submit to us and then we will go through but alam nyo, iba ng development ngayon. Noon kasi electrification. Ngayon, umunlad na yung mga bayan, but unfortunately, cooperatives may not have the technical knowledge or the corporate what do you call this? Competence to be able to supply the power needed in those areas. Okay, mahirap kasi daming politika minsan hindi natatapos yung trabaho. Publicly listed companies such as the ones that are managing, let's say, Negros Electric, pag nakikitang pangit ang performance nila sa isang project nila, babagsak yung stocks nila. So talagang they are not just answerable to a certain locality but to their investors as well. That's why transparency is more optimized. Hindi katulad pag mga cooperative, minsan hindi na natin nalalaman, no? Kaya I would like to commend Romelco actually, one of the good examples also of a cooperative and sa inyo rin. That's why ayoko naman baliwalain yung mga hinanaing ninyo. Submit to us yung sa inyo yung court ruling. Tapos we will make sure that our staff will meet with you during our break para ma-address natin ito. Pero lahat tayo dito meron nakasalalay na matatamasa na benepisyo kung maging maayos ang serbisyo dun sa lugar ninyo. Huwag kayong matakot na may etchepuera kayo o ganyan, 'di ba? Dapat kasama kayo sa paglago. So, Mr. Gilaran, tawagan tayo para maayos 'yan, hindi pwedeng
can we ask po, sorry, Madam Chair, can we ask po na at least before we can consider po sitting like kung meeting man po, pwede po bang at least mapa-investigate po muna yung sa GVA tsaka yung nangyaring plebiscite po if indeed tama po tong mga cases po, yung mga irregularities or hindi. Kasi doon po talaga, kasi essentially po, Madam Chair, hindi po talaga kami gusto ng corporatization, especially if it was done in a very underhanded na strategy po, Madam Chair. Hindi po makakaya ng, especially ng konsensya ko, na i-support yung something na alam kong mali. So, Madam Chair, we're not speaking on behalf of the officers or I'm speaking especially for the consumers then, and especially yung mga empleyado namin na nag-serve na ng at least 20, 30, 35 years sa Seneco. And yung employees po, Madam Chair, I'd like to also emphasize na employees are not only employees are also consumers po. So kung ano yung impact dun sa consumers natin, twice as powerful po yung impact dun sa employees po. Kasi
Okay.
consumers tsaka employee din
Thank
kami.
you. Yung mga retirees ba, yung magre-retire na, sir, you'll honor their retirement? Na yung mga employees na malapit na mag-retire?
Yes, ma'am. Ang alam ko, ma'am, that will be part of the separation and retirement benefit that Seneco will actually afford them on the
Okay, ganito na lang. Kasi we have to be guided by existing rules. We cannot make rules along the way, no? Pero kailangan ba talaga sa mga joint venture merong approval ng consumers or ano yung mga steps na kailangan bago magkaroon ng ganito?
Hello, Madam Chair. The joint, in this particular case, the joint venture kasi involves the disposition of assets. So that since there is a disposition of assets, if we're going to follow the PD 269, there should be an affirmative vote of majority of the MCOs.
Anong MCOs?
Member consumer owners, ma'am.
Okay, ganito. Can you investigate the claim of Mr. Gilaran na supposedly daw mga proxy, hindi naman daw totoong mga voters, mga ganyan. And then submit to us your opinion. The Secretariat will get in touch with you. Number one, I want to know the decision of the court on the case filed by Pico, Mr. Pico. Your position paper will also be analyzed. And then from NEA, we will keep in touch with you. You have to do that investigation. Kung totoo yan.
Pwede pong magtanong. Ano po yung pwedeng maging safeguards po? Kasi we have this may mga claims na there is conspiracy na din, included na rin yung NEA administrator, because also we cannot tawag dito, hindi namin parang ma-avoid na mag question din, kasi nga yung as stated by
Sino sa tingin mo dapat mag-imbestiga?
I think at least we involve the other government agencies na po, ARC and DOE po.
DOE.
Yes po. Kaya po nag-file kami ng petition po na pa-investigate yung nangyaring plebiscite, yung GVA tsaka yung nangyaring plebiscite po to DOE, ERC tsaka sa Committee on Energy ng Senate tsaka Congress, pero unfortunately until now wala pa pong nangyayari, walang umuusad po dun sa mga final namin na petition po.
Okay. We will determine whether we still need another hearing for this. But then we might have to include the Committee on Energy.
To make a request, because we have to start session at 3. So I'll just make requests to submit to the committee. Number one, sa DOE, do an independent inquiry on the plebiscite, on the JVA, and the conduct of everything that pertains to this JVA. Independent. DOE is the chairman of NEA, so you can actually do your own independent inquiry, no? Or independent fact-finding. No? Number two, sa ERC, I heard earlier that they were nag-file sila ng petition 3 times, all of which were denied or no action. Just submit to us the reasons why there is no action or there's denial. Okay. And then number 3, sa NEA, narinig mo naman yung mga sinabi nila. Answer it point by point, including yung dead. Akala ko sa politika lang yung patay bumaboto, pati dito pala, no? So answer it point by point, so we will be informed. And then number 3, sa Negros Electric, submit to us point by point also all the deliverables, no? You mentioned earlier 2.1 billion in investments to expand the lines so that it will become efficient. And then you also mentioned 200 million for sitio electrification. Madam Chair, I was looking through the data. Seems to me that for the last 5 years, Seneco has breached its system loss. No? The system loss is 12%, 11%, and the benchmark is only 8.25%. And in the talk of system loss, it's always technical, meaning you have to upgrade your lines, you have to upgrade your substation. But this costs a lot of money, no? So and then I also saw that the sitio electrification, for example, sa Salvador Benedicto, it's only 54% electrified, or 46% unenergized. Sa Murcia, 21%. Again, these are all question of capex. Need to invest in order to reach all of those places. And it seems to me, Madam Chair, that Seneco's way of infusing capex is through a JVA. No? Ayun ang nakikita kong ano. But there are two issues here. Number one, the credibility of that plebiscite. Tama ba? And then number 2 is the deliverables of Negros Electric. No? And of which we want to get a written paper from Negros Electric on what are the deliverables. No? So thank you, Madam Chair, and I'll request from the committee and the committee secretary a copy of those letters. Thank you.
Thank you for
Yes, Madam Chair. Gusto ko lang,
Mag-adjourn na po tayo.
oo,
Okay.
hindi,
We
Madam
have
Chair,
2 minutes, 2 minutes.
yes, ma'am.
may I also begin?
Madam Chair, ano lang yung sinabi ko kanina na ang ano ba, ang pag-enter into agreement, hindi natin kasi na ano, na invalido yun eh. Ang pag-enter into agreement dahil sa AGMA, hindi na discuss yun, i-reiterate ko lang, at walang, hindi pinahintulot ng mga member consumer during that assembly. So
Okay.
meaning,
Malinaw
agreement
po
is
yun.
null and void.
Malinaw po yun na
Okay,
nasabi
thank you,
ng grupo ninyo. Thank you.
A lot
Mr.
of
Zamora.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Without lawyering for either side, for anyone, I'm just going to state the facts. One, there was no protest filed with us. That's the thing. That's the first thing. So whatever allegation they made, there was no valid and formal protest filed to NEA. That's the first. Second po, on the matter on the what do you call this? So alleged affiliation or bias or however you may say, however you may frame it, or of the administrator. NEA does not act on the administrator alone. There is a board. There's a board of administrators for NEA. Third, on the voters na supposing na dead voters, if I'm not mistaken, matter alleged earlier. There's a reason why we had to cleanse the master list because at the behest of the local chief executives, they asked us to actually look into the master list. That's what we did. We helped on the master list of the voters for this plebiscite. That's it, Your Honor. On the proxy voting, we will just submit our comment, but suffice to state that we had to. We allowed Sineco to determine based on its own understanding, its own experience on the ground with its MCOs on how best to conduct its plebiscite, provided that the standard of PD 269, that is 50% plus 1 requirement, was achieved. Madam Chair and Senators.
Okay, thank you. Nakikisimpati ako sa inyo. Alam ko, syempre, gusto lang ninyo garantiyan na wala namang maagrabyado. Okay, pero nandun din ako sa punto na nakita ko rin sa ibang lugar na ang pangangailangan talaga ng expansion at napakamahal talaga. Kaya sa ngayon, yung hiningi na mga submissions ni Senator Gatchalian napakahalaga. So magtulungan po tayo para mabigyan ng hustisya yan, maging maayos. Pero sinasabi ko rin sa inyo, ayoko kasi yung mga matagal nagpapadelay ng progress. Okay? Kaya let's all work together kasi pag naging maayos ang serbisyo, pag na-resolve ito, lahat panalo sa Bacolod. Ayun ang gusto ko eh. Nakita niyo yung nangyayari sa Iloilo ngayon, di ba? Yung mga iba nagsasabi, parang nakakainggit naman, bakit yung ibang lugar, ganito, ganyan. So ayusin na lang natin paano natin mapagkakasundo yung mga kinakailangan gawin. So with that, I move that the franchise application bills of LEYECO 2 Electric Cooperative and Romblon Electric Cooperative be submitted for further deliberation on the condition that they tender all documents requested and settle all their administrative deficiencies. So, parang approved na yan, yung, lalo na yung sa Romblon. I mean, at least on a committee level, ha? Siyempre, kailangan ko padalhin to sa plenary. We also enjoin relevant government agencies to assist the franchises in complying with all their pending deliverables. As regards to Negros Electric and Power Corporation, this hearing is suspended because we will just ask for those submissions. But again, I'm saying I sympathize with you, but I also see the advantage of having an interested party invest even more capital. Kasi sa ayaw natin at sa gusto kailangan natin ng capital, ayaw lang natin na yung mga dati nating empleyado ay basta na lang hindi bibigyan ng pagkakataon. Basta masiguro natin yon. Okay? Thank you very much. This hearing is now adjourned and suspended. Thank you. Thank you, Congressman Madrona.